Welcome to a brief introduction on how to create a Linocut reduction print. First of all, always keep your fingers behind sharp tools. You can use a bench hook on the edge of your table to keep your Linocut in place as you're carving, and always keep your fingers behind your cutting tool. You can control the depth and width and thickness of your lines and marks by changing out the tip that you're carving with, or just changing the way that you apply the tool to the surface with shorter lines or longer lines. If you carve a little deeper, it will give you a slightly wider line, even with a skinny carving tip. I have finished carving my first design, so I'm just going to make sure that my brayer is clean by using a phone book to clean off any excess ink. And then I'm going to get my ink ready, make sure that it's the right thickness. If it's been drying or sitting a little bit, you may have to add a little bit of water or that extender medium, and get it ready to roll out so that it evenly coats the brayer, and we can apply that to the surface of our Linocut design. I didn't have quite enough yellow, so I applied a little bit more, and now I'm rolling it out. I don't mind if a little bit of the green sneaks in, but if that bothered you, you can always take a spatula and scoot that green out of your way so you've got space to roll out your yellow. Now that my brayer is evenly coated with that yellow, I'm ready to apply this to the surface of my Linocut carving. So I'm going back and forth between my inked surface and my carved surface to ensure an even coat of ink before I apply it to the paper. Now I'm ready to carefully pick up my Linocut by the edges and place it onto my paper where I'd like it to print. And then I'm going to carefully flip that paper over and again use the back side of a wooden spoon to burnish and transfer the image, making sure to rub it a little bit everywhere. I'm going to repeat that process 4 times so that I've got a base color to print on top of with my reduction carving. I've washed my Linocut and now I'm ready to carve more into it. Carving more designs into the surface will reduce the amount of surface area that is inked and printed, and that is why it is called a reduction print. Any of the new carved areas will now show the color of the first ink through those spaces, while the very first cuts are still going to show the white of the paper, as long as I'm careful about registering my plate right in the same spot as I did the first print. Now that I'm done carving my new designs, I'm ready to rehydrate my ink with some water. I'm going to use a spatula to scrape it away into a pile and then mix that water in. But I'm having a hard time scraping this away because whoever used this palette knife the last time did not clean it very well. So I got a fresh palette knife that was clean, and now I'm using that to scrape the ink into a pile and incorporate that water into the ink so it gets silkier and it makes it easier to roll out in a smooth way so it can cover that brayer really nice and smooth and even. Now I'm ready to roll out my ink nice and evenly with my brayer and apply it to the new surface that is carved with new designs. And then I'm going to stick it on top of those first designs, flip it over and burnish the backside with a spoon, and I can see my new design created where those new carved areas show the first color of ink through. Now I'm using a spatula to scoot that first color off to the side and clean off my tools with the phone book. And now I have space to get my next color ready to roll out and continue printing. I'm working in this tiny spot because I wanted to stay underneath the frame of the camera. So it's a good idea when you're printing to have a clean area where you're actually transferring your image to your paper, and then the messy area where you're dealing with the ink. In order to solve that problem for myself, I'm just using a sheet of paper underneath my paper as I transfer each image. And my reduction print is complete. And remember, printmaking is messy, so make sure you clean up all your supplies. Have fun!